I've always thought that lawyers were the highest civil servants. Lawyers were the highest servants of the people. We are constantly having an impact upon things that actually affect people's lives.
Our country, probably like no other country in the world, depends on lawyers and laws and regulations for the way it works. And that only works as long as the system works.
The law cannot be a club for the rich and powerful. It must also be a shield for those who are disadvantaged and poor. If you ever lose that basic idea, then you lose the essence of what it is to be an American.
We are still trying to flesh out the promises that were contained in the Magna Carta. We as lawyers have to make sure that the Lady of Justice is not peeking from under that blindfold to see who is standing before her.
Churchill and de Tocqueville and others all said that the true measure of your society is how it deals with the least fortunate among you. I think that defines who we as lawyers are.
We have a tradition in Atlanta that precedes by almost 35 or 40 years the Legal Services Corporation.
It was founded in 1924. There were 17 young lawyers, and if you look at their names, they weren't prominent at that time, but they became prominent, almost all of them.
There was not widespread and broad support for legal aid at the time my father and these others were doing this. It didn't exist in a lot of cities. Mr. Gambrell was a very strong personality. He wouldn't take no for an answer. If he set his mind to do something, he did it.
To him, the law was a calling, it was a practice, it was a form of intellectual self-fulfillment. The law was about helping people, and that's what drove him to set up the Legal Aid Society.
I think it is one of the outstanding legal aid associations in the country. Whether it's hunger, or illness, or clothing, or housing, those people often are the least able to represent their own interests.
We're dealing with people who have many more needs than we can possibly satisfy, and yet even though we can't satisfy all of them, there's just a good feeling knowing that I can impart to somebody else skills that I have or knowledge that I have that will make their daily life better.
Mr. Hawkins' case is a classic example of what we call predatory mortgage lending. The process is often initiated with a home improvement company offering to fix the home of an elderly person who has lower income and hasn't been able to fix their house for a while. An expert that we called in said it was worth $7,000. They charged $13,700. He doesn't have the cash to pay for the home improvement work, so they arranged a mortgage loan. And he could not make the payments. One day he called me and said he couldn't buy food. And when he told me that, I said, stop paying. They can foreclose on his house, sell it out from under him, buy it at the foreclosure sale, and pay off the mortgage. And that's what they do.
If you happen to be mentally disabled, you have to live in an institutional setting, same with a nursing home actually, in order to get services. Although you think of lawyers as getting people out of these hospitals, many times we're trying to keep them from being just thrown out of the hospital inappropriately, which was Elaine's situation. In fact, she never got any help in these hospitals and would be just discharged virtually to the street. We got involved in order to prevent her discharge into a homeless shelter and to advocate for her to get appropriate services.
They're victims of domestic violence, where they don't know the next time they're going to get beaten, but she doesn't have a way to earn money, and she's got 2 children, and the only way to keep a roof over their head is to succumb to this. We can help them get relief, we can help them get child support, we can help find them housing, and get them out. It's a really nice thing to be able to do.
Helping people get access to health care evictions, arguing that landlords constructively evicted people because they would take the door down and expect the tenant to move because the door had been removed. Consumer law, people being overcharged, gouged by finance companies.
The programs they have are just incredible. It's a great story, and I'm very proud and grateful to have been part of it, and will continue to be to the extent I'm able.
When you represent a legal aid client in court, you always feel like you're on the side of the angels, and I think in a sense you are.
Atlanta Legal Aid gave me a chance to come in contact on a daily basis with people who had little, but people who still had faith in our system. Some of my most memorable moments have been when I represented people who couldn't pay for it.
The provision day-to-day of high-quality legal services. That's what it's all about.
They do as good of a job or better than most lawyers that appear before me. They do it for very small salaries. They do it under very difficult circumstances. And I have just a renewed respect for it.
I wish Legal Aid had more money. I wish they had more lawyers. I wish they had more ability to reach into the community to ask for help.
The long history of the Legal Aid Society and the efficiency with which it's run gives the lawyers confidence to give.
The philosophy is one of making the community whole, and that's what heals our community.
They stepped in there and got me out of bondage. They really worked on my case, and they kept at it, because they stuck with me like chewing gum, and they're still sticking.
But if you have the right professional help and a lawyer, you can make it.